Everyone in our town avoided the old graveyard after sunset. It stood behind a line of dying eucalyptus trees, its boundary wall broken in places, its gravestones leaning at odd angles like a mouth full of cracked teeth. In the daytime it was only sad, a forgotten patch of land where weeds ruled and goats sometimes wandered through. But at night it felt awake, breathing, listening. As kids, we used to dare each other to run up and slap the iron gate, then sprint away before whatever lived inside could reach us. We always laughed afterward, pretending the fear was part of the fun. I never imagined I would willingly step inside. My name is Asan, and that night my phone battery was nearly dead. I had stayed too long at my friend Bilal's house playing games, ignoring the time, ignoring the dark clouds swallowing the moon. When my mother finally called, her voice was tight with anger and worry.
Come home. Now.
There were two ways back. The main road, full of barking dogs and men who stared too long, would take half an hour. The path through the graveyard would take 10 minutes. I stood outside the gate arguing with myself, the cold metal bars rising like prison rods in front of me. It's just a place, I whispered. Dead people can't hurt you. The words sounded weak, like they belonged to someone else. The wind pushed at my back. Before I could change my mind, I grabbed the gate and shoved. Rust scraped against rust, releasing a long, aching scream that echoed across the stones. I froze, heart hammering, waiting for someone or something to answer. Nothing did. I stepped inside. The air changed immediately. It felt thicker, colder, carrying the smell of wet soil, even though it hadn't rained in days. My phone lost its signal. No bars. The screen reflected my face, stretched pale by the flashlight. I started down the narrow path, trying not to read the names carved into the graves. But it felt like they were reading me. Behind me, the gate slowly creaked shut. The sound of the gate closing did something to me. It wasn't loud, not really, but it felt final, like a lock turning in a place I couldn't see. I told myself to keep walking. 10 minutes. Maybe less if I hurried. My shoes scraped the gravel, too loud in the silence, each step announcing where I was. Then I heard another step.
Soft.
Dragging. Right behind mine. I stopped so suddenly my breath hurt in my chest. The second set of footsteps stopped too. The graveyard fell back into that deep, drowning quiet where even the wind seemed afraid to move. It's nothing, I whispered. Just echo. But echoes don't breathe. I turned around slowly, the light from my phone trembling across the stones. Shadows jumped and twisted, stretching into shapes that almost looked human before breaking apart again. For a moment, I saw nothing. Then someone shifted between the graves. A man stood there, half hidden behind a crooked headstone. He wore an old brown coat that hung from his body like it had been left out in the rain for years. His beard was thin and gray, stuck to his cheeks. Mud stained his sleeves, dark and wet, dripping slowly onto the ground. Relief came first. A person. Just a person. Uncle. I called, my voice cracking. You scared me. He didn't answer. He simply watched me, head tilted slightly, as if trying to remember where he knew me from. Are you okay? I asked. He took a step forward. His shoes made that same dragging sound I had heard behind me. Beta, he said gently, almost politely. Can you help me? Something about the way he spoke made my skin tighten. Help with what? He looked around at the endless rows of graves, confused, almost embarrassed. I've been looking everywhere, he said. I can't seem to find my grave. A nervous laugh escaped me before I could stop it. What do you mean? There must be a name. They buried me, he continued, calm as still water. But they forgot where. The flashlight shook harder in my hand. I think you should talk to the caretaker, I whispered, backing away. He lifted his face fully into the light. His eyes were empty. Not blind. Empty. You're standing on it, he said. The soil beneath my shoes gave way before I could even scream. 1 second I was standing on the path, the next the earth sighed and swallowed me whole. I dropped through cold air and loose dirt, arms flailing, the phone flying from my hand before its light spun wildly and landed beside me. I hit something hard.
Wood.
Pain burst up my legs. I gasped, trying to breathe through the dust that rushed into my mouth and nose. Above me the circle of sky looked impossibly far away, a torn hole stitched with branches. Clumps of soil continued to rain down, pattering against my shoulders, my hair, the surface I stood on. A coffin.
New. Polished.
Waiting. No, 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 I whispered, panic rising so fast I thought I would faint. This isn't real. My phone's flashlight flickered, then steadied, casting a weak yellow glow across the narrow grave. The walls were straight and smooth, packed tight. There was no way to climb them. My fingernails dug in anyway, breaking, sliding uselessly down. I looked up. The old man leaned over the edge, his dark shape blocking part of the moon. He didn't seem cruel. If anything, he looked tired, patient. That's mine, he said, nodding toward the coffin beneath my feet. But it won't keep me. What are you talking about? I sobbed. Help me out, please. Instead of answering, he pointed. The coffin lid trembled. At first I thought it was because of me, because I was shaking so badly. But then I heard it. Breathing.
Slow.
Careful. Coming from inside the box. My stomach turned to ice. There's someone in there, I said. You buried someone alive. The old man gave a small, almost pitying smile. Listen. I forced myself to be still. Through the wood, past the pounding of my heart, I heard whispering. A voice hoarse from crying. A voice I knew better than any other.
Mine.
Please, it begged from the darkness under my shoes. Don't let him leave me here again. Cold fingers pushed against the lid from inside, searching for a way out. And they found the gap near my ankle. The fingers that slipped through the crack were icy and desperate, digging into my skin as if I were the last solid thing left in the world. I screamed and tried to pull away, but there was nowhere to go. My heel hammered against the coffin lid, the sound dull and useless in the narrow grave. Let me out, the voice rasped. It was mine. Not just similar, mine. Every shake, every breath between words, every familiar break in the throat. Hearing it from outside my own body made my mind tilt, like the world had been pushed off balance. Above, the old man watched with quiet interest. He's been waiting, he said. I told him someone would come. I'm not staying, I shouted. Take me back up. But the walls were too high, and he made no move to help. The coffin lid suddenly burst open, slamming into my knees. I stumbled backward against the mud, barely keeping my feet. Inside lay a boy curled in the narrow space, clothes pressed tight to his thin body, eyes wide and shining in the flashlight beam. My face, my hair, even the small scar near the eyebrow from when I fell off my bike in school. He reached for me, sobbing with relief. You came. You finally came. I don't understand, I whispered. I was you, he said. Or you were me. It doesn't matter. One of us has to be inside. The old man sighed, like someone tired of explaining the same rule. Every grave needs someone, he repeated. It cannot remain empty. The earth remembers. The other me struggled to sit up, wincing as if his muscles had forgotten how to work. Pull me out, he begged. If I stay, I disappear. I can feel it happening. My thoughts tangled, but fear pushed through them. I grabbed his wrists. They were solid.
Warm. Alive.
I pulled with everything I had. He clawed at the edges, shoes scraping wood, breath coming in sharp, painful gasps. For a second we were both balanced between two worlds. Then he was out. Standing.
Free.
Relief flashed across his face. Behind me, hands rose from the coffin, and they shoved. I fell backward into the coffin, my spine slamming against the wood so hard the air exploded from my lungs. Before I could sit up, before I could even lift my hands, the lid crashed down. Darkness sealed itself around me, thick and immediate, swallowing the last slice of moonlight and the outline of the boy who wore my face. For a moment, I couldn't think. I could only hear my own heartbeat trying to tear its way out of my chest. No, I screamed, but the word died inches from my mouth, trapped in the stale air. I shoved at the lid. It didn't move. Soil poured down from above, drumming against the coffin in heavy waves. Each impact sounded closer, tighter, more permanent. Wait, I cried. Take me out. You promised. Through the wood I heard footsteps stumbling away, uneven, learning how to walk again. Then my voice, my perfect voice, laughing in breathless disbelief. I'm free, he whispered. I punched the lid until my knuckles split. That's my life. The old man spoke one last time, his tone fading as if he were already turning to dust. It was, he said gently. Now it's his. More earth fell. The air grew hot and sour. I tried to breathe slowly, but panic chewed through me, wild and hungry. I kicked, twisted, begged, promised anything. I would be better, braver,
Kinder.
I would never complain again. Just let me out. The grave did not bargain. Minutes or hours passed. Time loosened and broke apart. My screams turned into dry sobs, then into whispers, then into nothing. The darkness pressed closer, learning the shape of me, fitting itself into my mouth, my ears, my thoughts. Above ground, morning arrived. The boy climbed out of the open pit with shaking legs and new lungs full of air. Birds began to sing as if nothing had happened. Cars hummed along the distant road. Life continued, bright and careless. He brushed dirt from his clothes and practiced a smile. My name is Hassan, he said, and this time it sounded right. My phone buzzed in his hand. Mother calling again. He walked toward the gate, without looking back. Down below, I finally understood the rule. The grave never stays empty. It waits.